very warm welcome to Great Principles. I am Seema Choria. Our guest today has been an educator for the last 28 years. Hailing from a family that has served the nation through the armed forces, she has had the privilege to live in different parts of the country and thus teach in some of the best schools. She began her career teaching English, science, and social studies at Christ Church College, Christ Church Girls' School, Jabalpur. Later on, completing her MA in English from Jabalpur University, she went on to teach English to middle school and senior school. She has been an active participant not just in literary activities with her schools, but also in cultural and sporting events. She has always led from the front, whether it was as teacher in charge of the debate club or as vice principal and mentor to fellow teachers. We are very proud to welcome Ms. Nalini Samuel, Principal, the Orbis School, Keshav Nagar, Pune. Welcome to the show, ma'am. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you so much.
So, ma'am, beginning, we would first like to know something about you and your career in education.
So like you said, I come from an army background. Both my father and my husband were in the army. And I began my teaching career way back in 1993. That's when my younger daughter was old enough to go to school. And I joined the same school where both my daughters were studying. And then I discovered that I really love teaching. So I have now been in this field from 1993 till date. That's a nice long period of time. So from Jabalpur, my husband got posted to Mumbai, and we moved there in 1999. And I first joined the G.D. Somani Memorial School when I was there. We were in Colaba at that time. But in 2001, my husband left the army and joined the corporate. So we moved to Parel, and then I joined Christ Church School in Mumbai. It's no connection to the Christ Church where I was working in Jabalpur. But I stayed with them for a good long time, about 10 years. And I was teaching in middle school, then high school, then the senior secondary school. And from there, I moved to the Cathedral and John Connon School as their vice principal from 2011 to 2018. I was there for a good about 10 years. And then we relocated to Pune, and I joined the Orbis School in 2019, and I have been with them since then. That's been my journey.
Yeah, so you've been learning from so many cities and enriching your teaching experience.
I know that's, I think, one of the best parts about being in the army.
Right.
The fact that you get to move around and meet different people.
Right, ma'am, absolutely. So going ahead, ma'am, what is the philosophy of Orbis School and what makes it unique?
So the motto of our school is celebrate learning. Because we believe that unless you enjoy doing what you are doing, it's never going to be a pleasure. It'll just be a chore. So we want to make everything enjoyable for our children so that they enjoy coming to school. They enjoy participating in all the activities that we offer them, and they enjoy the academics that is, of course, a very important part of their school life. So celebrate learning is actually a motto that we apply to every aspect of our school life. So whether it is an activity that we are conducting for the children, or whether it is the fact that we give them a lot of independence and we encourage them to participate very actively in their own learning experiences. So when they engage very actively in the classroom and they enjoy that engagement in the classroom, then learning becomes a lifelong activity for them. And that's what we want, that whatever they learn in school should last a lifetime. So celebrate learning being our motto. We also believe that it's very important for us to give the children a very healthy and holistic mix of the traditional and the international. So we give them exposure to a whole lot of our own indigenous games, our national festivals, all the occasions that we could celebrate, which are all Indian and national, we celebrate that. And then we also have an international touch in the sense that we are part of UMind, that is Europe meets India. And we have a sister school in the Netherlands. And our senior children work with these other children, their counterparts, on projects of common interest, like ecology or making a healthy environment in school. So we want our children to grow up with a very healthy mix of everything, traditional, international, as well as they should enjoy what they're doing. And so celebrate learning is there for in everything that we do in school.
Wonderful school with an amazing philosophy of celebrating learning and making the child rooted to your tradition, yet giving him an international exposure. So an absolutely wonderful school. So going ahead, ma'am, how can school boost the strength of the child to make them future ready?
Future ready or industry ready is such a challenging phrase these days because everything is evolving and changing so quickly that it's so difficult for us to predict that what the children are learning today is going to be of great value to them when they go out into the real world. But yes, what we need to teach children are skills that have stood the test of time. And therefore, skills like problem solving, critical thinking, and emotional skills where they learn to empathize with people around them. These are skills that will actually add to their strengths besides giving them a strong academic foundation. So these are the only things that we can do to make them future ready, because the future, we do not know what it is going to be like, the manner in which everything is changing so quickly. But yes, if we can equip them with these life skills, children will feel much empowered. They develop their self-confidence. And that is so important for them when they go out into the world, to be able to know what their talents are, what their abilities are, to go out over there and be well-established individuals who are able to, be happy with what they are doing. These are the important skills that we need to strengthen them with.
Rightly said, ma'am. The drastic change which technology and this world is bringing in us, we can't predict the future, but definitely we can make the children equipped with life skills so that they become critical thinkers and problem solver and face the life the way it comes up to them. So very rightly answered by ma'am. So going ahead, ma'am, how has virtual learning impacted academic performance of students?
I think what has happened is that the entire educational structure has undergone a drastic change. So not only are our teachers struggling with the fact that they are suddenly teaching from their homes and not in the familiar environment of a classroom, our children struggling with the fact that they are not with their friends and in that ambience of a classroom where everything is focused towards learning. And our parents are struggling with the fact that suddenly the classroom has entered their homes. So it has had an impact on everybody's life. Whoever's connected with school and education, it has had an impact on them. But having said that, children are very resilient and they adjust very quickly. And where technology is concerned and the online platform is concerned, they are very comfortable with it. So I would say that all of us have learned a lot. We have, since last year to now, I would say that we have ourselves evolved in a very big way. So learning has been impacted in the sense that children are not in the familiar environment of a classroom. They are not studying along with their peers, which, teaches them skills beyond academics.
Right.
But I wouldn't say that it's been a lost year. All of us have learned a lot, and especially our children are now very comfortable with the online learning. And the performance in some areas, I would say, has become better. Some areas would have taken a setback because of the entire structure or the restructuring rather of the teaching learning environment.
Yeah, so everyone is trying to put in their best efforts in making this better and making the teaching experience. But yeah, hopefully we might see children coming back. Government is trying their best to get children back to school now. They're working towards it.
Yes.
So let's see.
I think that's the best thing that could happen to them, because that gets them back to their usual life.
Yeah. Everyone is literally, yearning for that. It's been 15 months of no school.
True, true.
A drastic change on these young minds.
Yes, very true.
So going ahead, ma'am, are there any subjects you think should be taught in school but are not part of the current curriculum? And if you think so, then why are those subjects important for children?
There are certain subjects that I think all of us need to have a knowledge about, at least a basic knowledge. Say something like law. Most of us do not know anything about our Indian law systems. So when we are faced with a problem which is to do with anything legal, we get stuck. So if we can at least teach our children the basics of subjects like law, financial management, To
Yeah.
date, many of us do not know how to manage our own finances at an early age. And if you don't choose that subject, you don't really end up getting much knowledge about it. So things like law, things like financial planning, even basic things like cooking is a life skill. I mean, everybody should know how to cook because we all need to eat. And things like woodwork, carpentry, or just being able to do a bit of repairing around the house, a bit of painting, things that will make us self-sufficient. I think these skills are very important for us to be able to survive. And so along with our regular curriculum, if we could teach a little bit of these subjects, it would go a long way in equipping our children with these very essential 21st century skills that we all require to survive.
Absolutely, ma'am. Very rightly said. These are much needed skills, just to handle your own daily chores which comes in front of you. So this is very much needed, and every school should take this up, I guess.
Absolutely. The NEP that way has, given a huge boost to what our educational system is going to be like, because they have thought along these lines and realized that vocational training or vocational skills are something that are very important. So I think very soon we'll find this revolutionary change coming into our educational system.
The much needed one.
Much needed, definitely.
Yeah. So going ahead, ma'am, there are many accomplishments which you have. You're coming from so many cities. So what is that one achievement you're most proud of?
As a teacher, the biggest achievement for us is when our children who are now passed out from school, grown up, and when they come back to us or they keep in touch with us and they share a little bit of their lives with us, then we feel that, okay, the job of a teacher is very special. Because in some way we have, we've played a part in molding this child into this very successful adult. So I think this is the greatest accomplishment of a teacher, where we feel that we have made a difference to so many children's lives. And when they grow up and they come back and they talk to us and they tell us, I remember what you taught me in class. I remember what you said to me. And then we realize what an impact we make on a child's mind and on their lives. So for me personally, this has been one of my greatest achievements.
No doubt, ma'am. Every teacher feels this, that once the person who I've taught remembers me and acknowledges that he has learned something great of value from me, that is the biggest joy for me. So
True.
you are, as you said rightly, that you are a teacher at heart, and this things definitely has to be your biggest accomplishment. So
yes,
this brings
definitely,
to me,
that's what I feel.
Yeah. So this brings to me to the very interesting segment of the show, which is called rapid fire round.
Okay.
You have to answer in one word only.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So here comes this particular question requires 3 words. So I'll give you 3 words there. So name 3 qualities in potential school leaders that we never had before.
I think we need to be open to change. One, we need to be team players. Can I go in little detail of each, or you just want me to give that in that one word?
You can, ma'am.
Okay, because I feel now being an autocratic leader doesn't really work. We need to be team players. We need to be able to lead our teams from behind so that we empower everybody as we go along. And third, I would say that one needs to be a very empathetic person, because not only are we responsible for the well-being of our teachers and students and our parents, but also the community at large. So we need to be, the potential school leader needs to have all these, I feel, needs to have these important qualities. Because forward, these are going to be important qualities to be able to nurture children and to take the school to greater heights and improve a child's outlook and life.
Wonderfully answered, ma'am. So open to change, empathetic, and a team player. These are 3 qualities which are needed in today's time. Going ahead, ma'am, name a school principal you admire the most.
Mrs. Meera Isaacs. She's the principal and dean of the Cathedral and John Connors School. I had the privilege of being her vice principal for 7 years, and I was always so impressed by her composure and the way she carried herself and her sheer courage and her grit. So definitely, she's my role model.
So next question, what is the right form of education? One model for all or individualized learning?
Definitely individualized. everybody learns in a different way. Everybody has a personalized style of learning. And if we teach everybody in one set manner, there will be many children who will be left out of this teaching learning process. So we need to be able to incorporate many different styles into our teaching so that we are able to get everybody to learn in the manner in which he or she is comfortable learning. So definitely not individualized, but definitely individualized and not one for all.
Right? So, at what age should children be introduced to foreign languages?
I feel around the age of 10 or 11 is a good bet, because although they say that children pick up skills the best till age 6, but by that, during those ages, a child is busy also learning his mother tongue and the medium of instruction in the school if it is different from the mother tongue. So around 10 or 11 is a good age for us to introduce a foreign language.
All right. So, what do children need more today? A teacher, a friend, or a mentor?
Well, I would say if a child can get a mentor in the form of a teacher or a teacher in the form of a mentor, I think that would be an ideal combination. Because I no longer are we those sages, a sage on the stage. We are now more like a guide on the side. So a mentor, a combination of a mentor and a teacher would be the best bet for a child.
Absolutely, ma'am. So, going ahead, ma'am, what language should our children excel in?
I feel because we are now part of a global village, we must teach our children English, because English is that language which will give them, open so many windows for them to learn the new changes in technology that is happening, and give them that key to the future, that is the internet and all that is happening around the world. So I feel it's very important for us to teach children English so that they are able to take advantage of all that is happening around the world and keep themselves updated and keep learning more and more as they go along.
Yeah, it will help them to be globally connected, with
Correct.
nations,
Yes.
and open the doors for so many opportunities for themselves.
Absolutely.
Wonderfully answered. This segment is always my favorite, because in less words, I get so many insights from leaders. So, going ahead, ma'am, we saw your professional front. We know how many cities you have traveled so far. So, now when you're not working, what hobbies you are involved into and what sports you are involved into?
I love playing badminton, and I've been playing badminton since my college days. So whenever I get an opportunity, I'm there on the badminton court. And I feel playing games is a very important part of our lives, because there are so many lessons to learn on the playing field, whether it is, playing with a team. So you learn team spirit, you learn to get along with others, you learn to accept defeat. Very important for us to accept failures in our lives and realize that's a very normal part of everybody's life. Failures and successes will always come our way together. So playing a game teaches us very valuable life skills. And I have always found that playing badminton makes me a very happy person, besides, of course, taking care of the physical health. And a healthy body and a healthy mind are the best two combinations. So yes, I do enjoy playing badminton a lot.
Rightly said, ma'am. Sports and games are very integral part, and we all should take an effort that our children are equally involved with some of the other sports and they love it. It's very much required for their, upgradement. And there are schools, those who have made it mandatory for students to opt for a sports in their life and excel in it with under the guidance of great coaches.
True, absolutely.
So this brings to me to the last question of the day, ma'am, which is again associated with the subject you have taught, that is English. So English is the most widely spoken language globally that we just discussed. How can we improve our child's English skills?
So we must encourage our children to read. One thing I find that because of the easy access to the internet, our children are connected to their devices for a major part of the day. But that does not teach you to use your imagination. So reading books, I feel, is a very important activity for one to develop your language skills, reading the newspapers, picking up a new word every day and learning how to use that new word in a proper sentence, going to a dictionary as often as possible, looking up the meaning of words. These are all little tips that would help a child to build up their skill for the English language, because it is not the language that is spoken in many homes. So one needs to, take that little extra effort to learn this language in all its entirety.
So any special tips, ma'am, that you would like to share with the parents, how they can develop the skill from the very beginning of their child's learning age?
I think parents have to be very deeply involved in the educational aspect of their child's life. So
Mhm.
spending quality time with their child is a very important part of their lives. So if one can sit with a child, if you can read to them, or you can do an activity together, which will help the child to develop their skills that is beyond their academic books, that will go a long way in helping the child to grow and to evolve. So that involvement is very important for a parent. And that too has to be quality involvement, not in terms of time, but in terms of effort and quality that is spent along with the child.
Absolutely, ma'am. So this brings to me to the end of the discussion, ma'am, and it was really wonderful to have you. We got a lot of insights from you, and I'm sure my viewers are going to enjoy the same. So thank you so much for the time, ma'am. It was really wonderful to have you here.
Thank you. I also had a great time answering your questions.